The auction house smelled of old money and privilege. Maya Chen ran her fingers along the gilded frame, feeling the centuries of history beneath her touch. Her heart quickened at what lay beneath the darkened varnish. Something extraordinary, hiding in plain sight. "Miss, the cleaning supplies are in the back closet." Maya turned to find Eleanor Wentworth staring at her with cool disdain. With her tailored Chanel suit and three-strand pearl necklace, Eleanor embodied the Wentworth legacy. 6 generations of art dealers to New York's elite. "Actually, Maya began. "New staff should report to Mr. Peterson." Eleanor cut her off with a dismissive wave. "The cleaning crew doesn't handle the merchandise." Maya straightened her simple black cotton dress. The outfit she'd chosen for her first day, practical for restoration work, suddenly felt shabby under Eleanor's scrutiny. "I'm Maya Chen, the new restoration specialist." Eleanor's perfectly arched eyebrows rose a fraction. "You? But you're so young." "I have a master's in fine arts conservation from the Institute." Maya extended her hand, but Eleanor merely glanced at it. "How interesting. Well, we'll see what you can do with the minor pieces. The Degas exhibition opens next week, and we need someone to clean the frames." Eleanor's gaze drifted to the painting Maya had been examining. "Don't bother with that one. It's going to storage. Worthless reproduction." As Eleanor clicked away on designer heels, Maya turned back to the canvas. Despite the yellowed varnish and decades of neglect, something in the brushwork spoke to her. This was no reproduction. "Don't mind her," said a voice behind Maya. "Eleanor treats everyone that way their first day." Maya turned to find a young man with kind eyes and a crooked smile. He extended his hand. "James Peterson, assistant curator. You must be our new restoration specialist." "That's right." Maya shook his hand, grateful for the friendly face. "I was just looking at this piece." "Ah, that old thing." James shrugged. "Been in the basement for decades. Probably a student copy of a Dutch master." Maya ran her fingertips along the edge of the frame. "I'd like to take a closer look if that's allowed." "Knock yourself out." James grinned. "But Eleanor's right about one thing. The Degas exhibition is our priority. Your workspace is down the hall." Maya's restoration studio turned out to be a converted storage closet. The space was cramped, but had northern light, a restorer's dream. She spent the morning setting up her equipment, organizing her specialized solvents and brushes with methodical precision. At lunch, she returned to the main gallery and found the neglected painting still propped against the wall. With a furtive glance around, she carried it to her workspace. Under the bright examination lamp, Maya leaned close to the canvas. Years of cigarette smoke and improper cleaning had left it almost indistinguishable, but certain qualities couldn't be hidden. The composition, the handling of light. "What secrets are you hiding?" she whispered. "Talking to paintings already?" First sign of madness. Maya jumped. Eleanor stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "The Degas frames need your attention." Eleanor's voice was frigid. "I recall authorizing you to work on that piece of junk." "I think it might be significant," Maya said. "The craquelure pattern suggests 17th century origin, and the composition—" "Miss Chen." Eleanor's smile didn't reach her eyes. "We hired you because your credentials were acceptable and frankly affordable. I'll decide which pieces deserve attention. The auction is in 4 weeks and we need every valuable piece ready." Heat crept up Maya's neck. "Of course. Good. Now please focus on the tasks assigned to you." Eleanor's gaze flicked to the painting, "And return that to storage where it belongs." After Eleanor left, Maya remained still, her hands trembling slightly. She'd encountered prejudice before, assumptions about her abilities based on her age, her gender, her heritage, but she'd thought her credentials would speak for themselves here. She examined the painting once more, then reluctantly carried it back to the storage area. But as she slid it onto the rack, she made a decision. "I'll come back for you." The next morning, Maya arrived early. The cleaning crew was still at work, and the galleries stood empty. She slipped into the storage room and retrieved the painting, then hurried to her workroom. For the next week, Maya played a careful game. She meticulously cleaned Degas frames during the day, earning grudging approval from Eleanor. But each morning and evening, she devoted an hour to her secret project. Under her careful hand, the painting began to reveal itself. A Dutch interior scene with light falling through a window, illuminating a woman reading a letter. The technique was remarkable, the play of light extraordinary. "You've been putting in long hours." Maya startled, nearly dropping her cotton swab. James leaned against the doorframe, his expression curious. "Just trying to keep up," she said, angling her body to block the canvas. Too late. James stepped closer. "Is that the old piece from storage? The one Eleanor told you to leave alone?" Maya's stomach tightened. "I'm just looking at it after hours, on my own time." James studied the partially cleaned canvas. "You've made progress. What do you think?" "It is? I'm not certain yet," Maya hesitated. "But the technique, the way the light falls, it reminds me of Vermeer." James laughed. "Vermeer? Come on, Maya, there are only 34 authenticated Vermeer paintings in existence. The odds of finding one forgotten in our basement are astronomical." "No, it sounds crazy." Maya turned back to the canvas. "But look at the quality of light, the composition. And Vermeer often painted women reading letters. Many Dutch painters did." James's voice softened. "Look, you're talented, but you're chasing a fantasy here. Focus on the collection pieces. That matter for the auction." "I will." Maya nodded, but as James left, her eyes returned to the canvas. The following Tuesday brought the second incident. The restoration team, all three of them, had been invited to a pre-exhibition gathering. Donors and board members mingled over champagne, examining the Degas pieces Maya and her colleagues had prepared. Maya wore her best outfit, a simple navy dress she'd splurged on when she landed the job. Still, she felt underdressed among the glittering crowd. "And this is our restoration team," Eleanor was saying to an elderly gentleman with a Carnegie name tag. "Philip has been with us for 15 years, specializing in 19th century works." Philip, a balding man in his 50s, nodded gravely. "And Teresa handles our paper conservation needs." Teresa, elegant in her 60s, smiled politely. Eleanor's eyes slid past Maya. "That's everyone essential." Maya stood frozen as the group moved on. She'd been working 14-hour days for weeks, meticulously cleaning the very frames they were admiring. "Ouch," said a voice behind her. "That was brutal." Maya turned to find James holding 2 champagne flutes. He handed her one. "Does she treat?" "Everyone like that?" Maya asked, taking a grateful sip. "Only the ones she feels threatened by." James clinked his glass against hers. "Take it as a compliment." "A compliment would be acknowledging my existence." "Give it time. Eleanor hates change." "She's been running things since her father stepped down." Maya watched Eleanor holding court across the room. "She clearly thinks I don't belong here. Prove her wrong." James nudged her shoulder. "Show her what you can do." "That's the problem. She won't let me work on anything significant." Maya hesitated. "Except the mystery painting?" James raised an eyebrow. "Still on that?" Maya lowered her voice. "I've done more cleaning." "James, the quality is extraordinary. If it's not Vermeer, it's someone very close to him." "Maya, Miss Chen." Eleanor's voice cut through their conversation. She approached with 2 expensively dressed women. "Since you're standing here chatting, perhaps you could refill Mrs. Ashford's champagne." Maya's cheeks burned. "I'm not a server, Ms. Wentworth. I'm a restoration specialist." Eleanor's smile tightened. "Of course, my mistake." She turned to the women. "This is one of our junior staff, still learning the ropes." The women barely glanced at Maya before Eleanor steered them away. "Definitely threatened," James murmured. Maya drained her champagne. "I need some air." She escaped to the back hallway, breathing deeply to steady herself. Through the partially open door of Eleanor's office, voices drifted out. "The board is questioning your leadership, Eleanor." A male voice, stern and authoritative. "The Peterson Gallery is stealing our clients. We need fresh perspectives." "Father, I have everything under control." Eleanor's voice was strained. "The Degas exhibition will bring us the publicity we need. It's not enough. We need a major discovery, something to put Wentworth back on the map." Maya slipped away, her mind racing. The pressure Eleanor faced explained her behavior, but it didn't excuse it, and it gave Maya an idea. The third incident came 2 weeks later. The Degas exhibition had opened successfully, but the real focus was now on the upcoming auction. Maya had continued her secret work, methodically removing centuries of grime from the mysterious painting. What had emerged left her breathless. The quality was undeniable. The luminous skin tones, the precise handling of light, the intimate domestic scene. It bore all the hallmarks of Vermeer's work. Maya had taken discrete samples for pigment analysis and documented her findings meticulously. She'd compared the brushwork to authenticated Vermeers and consulted with a former professor without revealing the painting's location. Today was the day she would present her findings to Eleanor. Even if it wasn't a Vermeer, it was valuable, potentially worth millions. Maya knocked on Eleanor's office door, clutching her research folder. Enter. Eleanor barely looked up from her computer. "Make it quick, Miss Chen. The catalogue goes to press today." "I've made a discovery." Maya placed the folder on Eleanor's desk. "It's about the painting from storage." Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "You mean the one I specifically told you not to waste time on?" "Yes, I believe it's significant." Maya opened the folder, displaying the photographs she'd taken during the restoration process. The pigment analysis shows 17th century materials. The composition and brushwork are consistent with Johannes Vermeer's technique. Eleanor stared at the photos, then at Maya. "You're suggesting we have an undiscovered Vermeer? That's absurd. I'm suggesting it deserves expert authentication." Maya pointed to her notes. "The evidence is compelling. Evidence gathered without authorization on a painting you were told to ignore." Eleanor closed the folder. "This is remarkably presumptuous, even for you." The office door opened, and a distinguished man with silver hair entered, the same man Maya had overheard speaking with Eleanor. "Father." Eleanor straightened. "I was just finishing up with our junior restorer." Mr. Wentworth glanced at Maya, then at the folder. "What's this about?" Before Eleanor could answer, Maya stepped forward. "Sir, I'm Maya Chen, restoration specialist. I've been working on an unattributed painting from your storage, and I believe it may be a Vermeer." The room fell silent. Mr. Wentworth's eyebrows rose. "A Vermeer here?" "It's nonsense," Eleanor interjected. "Miss Chen is overeager and inexperienced. Let me see." Mr. Wentworth reached for the folder. Eleanor's hand covered it. "Father, this is disruptive. We're preparing for the auction, which could benefit enormously from such a discovery." Mr. Wentworth fixed his daughter with a stern look. "Where is this painting now?" "In my workroom," Maya said. "I've completed about 60% of the restoration." "Without authorization?" Eleanor stood. "This is completely unprofessional. She's been working on this painting against explicit instructions." "Then she's either very foolish or very confident." Mr. Wentworth turned to Maya. "Show me." Eleanor's face flushed dark red as they followed Maya to her workroom. The painting sat on an easel, partially cleaned but unmistakably beautiful. "Mr. Wentworth approached it slowly, putting on his glasses. "The light, it's extraordinary." "It's a competent Dutch interior," Eleanor said dismissively. "Nothing more." "Look at the window reflection on the wall," Maya pointed out. "The subtle color gradations. The composition matches Vermeer's style perfectly." "Many painters imitated Vermeer," Eleanor argued. "This proves nothing." James appeared in the doorway, drawn by the commotion. "What's going on?" "Miss Chen believes she's discovered a Vermeer," Mr. Wentworth said, still studying the painting. "And I'm explaining that she's mistaken," Eleanor snapped. "This is why we don't assign valuable pieces to inexperienced staff." Mr. Wentworth straightened. "Call Dr. Harmon. I want his opinion immediately." "Father, now Eleanor." As Eleanor stalked away to make the call, Mr. Wentworth turned to Maya. "Explain your process." Maya's heart raced as she detailed her restoration techniques, the tests she'd performed, and her research findings. Mr. Wentworth listened intently, asking precise questions that revealed his own expertise. By the time Dr. Harmon arrived, a rumpled academic from the Metropolitan Museum, a small crowd had gathered. Eleanor stood rigid by the door, her face a mask of controlled fury. Dr. Harmon examined the painting for nearly an hour, using specialized equipment and taking photographs. Finally, he turned to the group. "I can't make a definitive attribution without further testing," he began cautiously. "But the technical evidence is consistent with Vermeer's known works. The pigments, ground layer, and underdrawing technique all suggest mid-17th century. Dutch origin, Mr. Wentworth's eyes gleamed. And your professional opinion? Dr. Harmon adjusted his glasses. It warrants full authentication procedures. If I were a betting man, I'd say we're looking at either a Vermeer or a work from his immediate circle. Either way, it's an important find. The room erupted in excited murmurs. Eleanor pushed forward. We should proceed cautiously. False attributions can damage our reputation. Of course, Dr. Harmon nodded. But this deserves thorough investigation. Mr. Wentworth clasped Maya's shoulder. Remarkable work, Ms. Chen. Truly remarkable. Later that afternoon, Maya sat alone in her workroom, still processing the events. The painting had been moved to a secure location for further testing. Her head spun with possibilities. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Eleanor entered, her posture rigid. Ms. Chen. Her voice was perfectly controlled. The board has authorized a special authentication team for the painting. They'll arrive next week. That's wonderful. Maya smiled hesitantly. I'm happy to share my documentation. Yes, well, Eleanor paused. Your observational skills are adequate. Though your methods remain questionable, it was as close to praise as Maya was likely to get. Thank you for bringing it to our attention, Eleanor continued stiffly. However, I must insist that in the future you follow proper protocols. Maya nodded. I understand. Eleanor turned to leave, then hesitated. How did you know? What made you look twice at that particular painting? Maya considered the question. The way the light fell across the subject's face, it had life. Even beneath all that grime, you could feel the artist's hand. Something flickered in Eleanor's eyes, perhaps recognition. My grandfather used to say true talent reveals itself, no matter how hard we try to disguise it. She straightened her jacket. The authentication team will need your full cooperation. Of course. After Eleanor left, James appeared, grinning widely. You did it. Did you see her face when Harmon said it might be authentic? Maya laughed, the tension finally breaking. I thought she might faint. You've made history here. James perched on her desk. No one will ever mistake you for the cleaning staff again. I don't care about that. Maya touched the empty easel where the painting had rested. I just wanted to give her a voice again, the woman in the painting. She deserved to be seen. The next weeks passed in a whirlwind. The authentication team, experts from Amsterdam, London, and New York, subjected the painting to every scientific test available. They analyzed paint samples, conducted infrared reflectography, and compared brushwork with known Vermeers. Maya worked alongside them, her expertise now respected and sought after. She noticed Eleanor watching from a distance, her expression unreadable. The final authentication meeting was held in the Wentworth conference room. The entire staff gathered, along with board members and selected press. Maya sat between James and Philip, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Dr. Vandermeer, head of the authentication committee, stood at the podium. Behind him, the painting, now fully restored, glowed with inner light. After extensive analysis, he began, his Dutch accent pronounced, we have reached a unanimous conclusion. The painting known as Woman Reading a Letter by the Window is indeed the work of Johannes Vermeer, created approximately 1657-1658. The room erupted, cameras flashed, Mr. Wentworth beamed. Even Philip and Teresa applauded Maya warmly. The painting exhibits all the hallmarks of Vermeer's mature style, Dr. Vandermeer continued. Its provenance has been traced to a private collection in Rotterdam, from which it disappeared during World War II. How it came to Wentworth Gallery remains unclear, but its authenticity is beyond question. Maya barely heard the rest of the presentation. Her vision blurred with tears as she stared at the painting, now revealed in all its glory. The woman in the Vermeer seemed to look back at her across centuries, serene and knowing. The estimated value, Dr. Vandermeer was saying, is between $40 and $60 million. Gasps filled the room. Maya felt James squeeze her hand. Wentworth Gallery plans to exhibit the painting for 6 months before offering it at auction, Mr. Wentworth announced. We expect worldwide interest. As the crowd dispersed for champagne, Eleanor approached Maya. The gallery director looked different somehow, still elegant, still formidable, but perhaps less rigid. Miss Chen, Eleanor extended her hand. It seems I misjudged you and the painting. Maya shook her hand. Thank you for allowing the authentication to proceed. I had little choice. A smile briefly touched Eleanor's lips. But I recognize talent. When it finally stares me in the face, the restoration work you've done is exceptional. Maya nodded, accepting the hard-won compliment. What happens now? Now. Eleanor glanced toward the painting. Now we make history, and you, Ms. Chen, have earned the right to lead our restoration department. If you're interested. Maya's breath caught. I am. Good. Eleanor handed her a business card. My father is hosting a dinner for the authentication team tomorrow night. Your presence is requested. As Eleanor walked away, James appeared with 2 champagne flutes. To the woman who discovered a Vermeer and didn't take any crap doing it. Maya laughed, clinking her glass against his. I just saw what others missed, because you looked when everyone else had stopped seeing. 6 months later, Maya stood in the expanded restoration studio of Wentworth Gallery. Large windows flooded the space with northern light. 3 apprentices worked at separate stations, carefully following her instructions. The Vermeer had been exhibited to record crowds before selling at auction for $73 million. The publicity had transformed Wentworth Gallery, bringing in new clients and important consignments. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Eleanor. Board meeting in 10. Bring the assessment of the possible Canaletto. Maya smiled. Their relationship remained professional rather than warm, but a mutual respect had developed. Eleanor had even acknowledged publicly that Maya's fresh perspective had saved the gallery. James leaned in the doorway. Ready for the grand unveiling tomorrow? The gallery was opening a new wing, named for Maya's discovery. The Vermeer room would feature Dutch masters and showcase Wentworth's new focus on research-based authentication. As ready as I'll ever be. Maya carefully covered the painting she'd been examining. Did you finish the catalogue text? Just sent it to printing. James grinned. I may have mentioned your extraordinary perception and unparalleled restoration technique. Shameless flattery. Well-deserved recognition. James's expression turned serious. You changed this place, Maya. You made them see differently. Maya thought about her first day, being mistaken for cleaning staff, being dismissed and underestimated. She thought about the painting that had been relegated to storage, its beauty hidden beneath centuries of neglect. Sometimes, she said, gathering her notes for the board meeting, what we're looking for has been there all along. We just need the courage to really see it. As she walked through the gallery toward the boardroom, Maya passed a small plaque, recently installed beside the entrance to the new wing. It read, "Look closely at the ordinary and you will find the extraordinary. The true value of art, like people, often lies beneath the surface, waiting for someone brave enough to reveal it."